Permit me to take you on a journey through the annals of history, wherein we shall explore the origins and development of commercial advertising, with a particular focus on the early Edo period in Japan and its nascent counterpart in Europe. It is a tale of cultural divergence and convergence, of art and commerce, and of the inexorable march of progress. The Edo period in Japan, commencing in the early 17th century, was a time of remarkable transformation. Under the Tokugawa shogunate, Japan experienced an era of peace, stability, and isolation from the outside world. This isolation paradoxically fostered a unique and vibrant cultural and economic milieu. The burgeoning merchant class, often scorned by the samurai elite, found ingenious ways to promote their goods and services, giving rise to some of the earliest forms of commercial advertising. In the bustling streets of Edo, now Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, merchants employed an array of advertising techniques that were both sophisticated and visually captivating. One of the most prominent forms was the use of ukiyo-e, or pictures of the floating world. These woodblock prints, renowned for their intricate designs and vivid colors, were not merely artistic endeavors but also potent commercial tools. Ukiyo-e artists such as Hokusai and Hiroshige became celebrated not only for their depictions of landscapes and actors, but also for their advertisements of kabuki theaters, tea houses, and luxury goods. These prints often featured elaborate illustrations accompanied by calligraphic text extolling the virtues of the products or services on offer. Contrast this with Europe, where commercial advertising was in its embryonic stage during the same period. The 17th century in Europe was marked by the Renaissance and the beginning of the Enlightenment, eras of intellectual and artistic blossoming. However, the mechanisms for advertising lagged behind those in Japan. Europe's advertising landscape was dominated by simple handbills, pamphlets, and posters, which were rudimentary in design and limited in reach. The invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in the mid-15th century had indeed revolutionized the dissemination of information, but its application to commercial advertising was still in its infancy. The primary medium for advertisements in Europe was the printed word, often devoid of the artistic flourishes that characterized Japanese ukiyo-e. These early European advertisements were functional rather than aesthetically pleasing, focusing on textual descriptions and basic illustrations. The industrial and economic conditions of Europe were not yet conducive to the kind of artistic commercial synthesis seen in Japan. It was not until the 18th and 19th centuries, with the advent of the Industrial Revolution and the rise of mass media, that European advertising began to evolve into a more sophisticated enterprise. The Edo period's isolationist policies, while ostensibly restrictive, allowed Japan to cultivate a unique advertising culture. The fusion of art and commerce in ukiyo-e prints reflected a society that valued aesthetic pleasure and cultural identity even in its commercial transactions. In Europe, the path to commercial advertising was shaped by different forces: the burgeoning print industry, the rise of literacy, and the gradual shift from feudal economies to capitalist markets. Yet, as we delve deeper into the comparative analysis, we must recognize the undercurrents of similarity. Both Japan and Europe, in their respective ways, harnessed the power of print to reach wider audiences. Both societies saw the potential of advertising to drive economic activity and influence consumer behavior, and both eventually would converge towards a more globalized understanding of advertising in the modern era.